Shreveport Mayor Ollie Tyler is here for a little bit. Good morning, Miss Ollie. How are you today?
Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, we've agreed to talk about the budget today, and I want to ask you, the good news is it looks like city workers, police, and firefighters are going to get pay raises, correct?
Well, yes. If the city council passes on the budget, they will. We know that they are the most valuable resources that we have, So we are trying to make sure that we can take care of our employees.
3% base pay raise for police and firemen. How much of a raise for city employees under $75,000 per annum, by the way? How much is that raise going to be?
Well, let me first say, Robert, it's a total of 5% for police and fire, and not 3%. Of course, 3% goes on the base, and they'll get the additional 2%. So let me just say that we've been trying, of course, to make sure that we can take care of our employees. So ask that last question again, Robert.
What is the rate of increase proposed for city employees under 75K?
5%.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know, where's the money coming from? What do you trim? You have to trim. You don't have bucket loads of cash rolling in down there.
Absolutely not, Erin, and thank you for asking that question. And let me say also that I'm suffering with allergies. The fall has come in, and so if I sound like a frog this morning, just know that I am having that struggle today. Let me tell you, we trimmed some more. I think you know that my first year in office, we trimmed $4.3 million. But, of course, we had, increases in health care, insurance, and pension benefits. And so I told the staff, and I directed the staff to look into the budgets again. We had a year-long hiring freeze for non-critical positions. And, of course, that did not include fire and police. And we looked at everything that we could. But one of the biggest things that we were able to see this year that we did not see last year. And, we do the budgets the year before. Mm-hmm. And our economy has been really, really stagnant. And so in 2016, we saw a decrease in sale revenues and all of that. But in the last few months, we see an uptick, really, in our sales revenue.
Do you have some specific areas where you can address cuts and you can tell us, hey, I found this was in this department and yes, I found a way to save it? Okay,
let me tell you, for this year, over the last each month for the last year, this year, we've been able to bring in $300,000 each month that we had not been able to do in the 2016 year because the revenues weren't there. With the year-long hiring freeze for non-critical positions, we were able to save several $100,000 there. For the city health insurance contributions, of course, we did have an increase in this year. But in 2018, and of course this is the budget for 2018, because of some restructuring within the department, we were able to provide and come up with a decrease of $580,000 more over last year. Also, EMS monies came in several $1 million more than it had in previous years. And, of course, that was some legislation that was passed at the state level. And instead of collecting, 7 to 9 million, we're going to collect a lot more than that, probably 2 million more. So those were monies that were saved. We were able to take a look into the budget also to see exactly what rolled off in terms of our debt. And we were able to do that, and that was a cost savings for us. We rolled off debt this year because some of our notes, ended
expired,
for 2017, and so we have an additional $700,000 in payments that we didn't have last year. And so all of those things coupled together, we were able to come up with enough to be able to take care of our valuable employees.
Ms. Ollie, you had mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, you said, basically, now all we got to do is get it through the city council. How much work, how much cajoling, how do you think that's going to go? Do you think the city council is right now saying, yep, let's run with this. This is a great idea?
Well, I haven't heard any opposition, and, I talk with some of them almost daily. I've been very, inclusive and trying to make sure that they understand what it is that we're trying to do. We've looked at of course, this raise will come with no decrease in services. In fact, we're trying to ramp up services, so the staff know that we're going to have to really do more with less. We've been able to collapse some of the positions, and that's why our employees have worked so hard. We did not hire some of those positions in every department. So I have not heard any opposition yet from council members. We still have to work through everything. December, probably before December 15th, we'll have a budget. And so we know that our employees haven't received a raise, actually a substantial raise in more than a decade. And it's time that we take a look at our valuable resource, and that is the people who do the servicing for our citizens every single day. I think that city council members will look very carefully at the budget that we've submitted.
Will any city residents feel any impact from the cuts? Are there some? I know we're moving into this new recycling pickup, but will there be anything else that will impact residents?
No, ma'am. And when I sent out the press release, I think you all looked at what we sent, and thank you for doing that. There will be no cuts. We made sure that we're bringing in enough extra revenue to make sure that services continue and that we can provide even better services. Let me tell you, when I put on my CEO hat that I had to do for many years in education, we look continuously every year to see where we can trim and be better stewards of the taxpayers' money. This year, we also doing for police and fire. We're going to give them back the funding, of course, that they lost on uniforms. That was cut in half, I think, in 2014. I went back and got all of the information, and I've been sitting and working very diligently with our staff, my CAO and assistant CAO, and we were able to find these funds because we looked at every area where we could trim. We looked at every area where we could reduce debt. We looked at every areas where we had an increase in revenues that were recurring, and we were able to do this without cutting any services and without reducing anything that will affect our citizens.